press it.
Welcome to Increase, where it is my task to increase, illustrate, and inundate you with information, knowledge, and overall help cause you to think. And I'm your host, Alpheus Gibbs Sr. Hey, welcome to Increase. I am your host, Alpheus Gibbs, and I am elated to have our first guest, which is my beautiful wife and a student of psychology, none other than Tiffany Gibbs.
Hi, everybody.
So,
Thank you
uh,
for having me.
well, it's a pleasure to have you. I didn't want to get anyone else on before I have you on first. It was a priority of mine to make sure that you be my first guest. So, and it's so befitting that we're talking about today the psychology of a leader, because I think that a lot of times when we deal with leaders,
Mhm.
they don't think that there's a certain kind of mindset that you need to have. There's some certain level of mental acumen you need to possess
Mhm.
to be a great leader, not just be a leader. Because
What's acumen?
huh,
What's acumen?
acumen.
Yeah.
So,
You be using words and just think we know these words. Help somebody out. I
so
never have is it I never heard that word.
So acumen is really just saying having possessed an accumulation of skill set
Okay, thank you.
or a certain level.
Mm.
So a lot of times people think that they're leaders and they're really just managers.
Mm.
So
So
um,
another aspect of a leader is breaking down stuff, not assuming that people know words that they don't.
I guess you could say that. You could say it like that. So you see how our chemistry is, right? Um, but when it comes to leaders as a whole, what comes to mind when you think of a leader?
So for me, I just shared a post. Hart Ramsey posted
Hmm.
something, and it's something that I always say,
Hmm.
and that leaders lead by example. It's not about a dictatorship. It's not about we're not in a communist thing.
Right.
We're not even, me and him have had a discussion. Back in the day when we were raised, it was do as I say, not as I do. That
Right.
didn't work for nobody because most of y'all did what y'all saw them do and didn't do what they said. So
Right.
let's just be honest.
Okay.
Something going on with the camera. Um, so for me, a leader is someone who helps guide someone to where they're going. Doesn't mean that you're going to the same place that I'm going to. Doesn't mean
Mm.
that you're going in the same direction. So I look at it in the same way that I parent my children. I'm not making a duplicate of myself.
Okay.
I am helping them
Hmm.
to become who they are intended to be. They're
Okay.
not coming to be a carbon copy of me. God didn't call for me to make control, pace, control, pace, control, pace.
Right.
That's not what he called. That's not what he asked for. While we may have similar qualities,
Hmm.
we may have similar things that we do.
Right.
Um, doesn't mean that you're going to be exactly like me, that you're going to
Okay.
be a replica of me. My job as a leader, my job as a parent, my job if I'm in the business world as a leader
Right.
is to pull the best out of you.
Okay.
It is not to try to diminish your personal creativity, your
Hmm.
personal uniqueness
Okay.
to make you me.
Okay.
So I have a totally different concept
Right.
because for me, you're not going to make me you. I'm going to be myself.
Right.
You can help me be myself.
Right.
You can teach me some things.
Okay.
You can help me navigate, but
Okay.
I'm not trying to be you.
Okay. So then, if I understand you correctly, then because you said something that was really powerful, and that was guide. And I
Yes.
think a lot of times in leadership, where you see people try to drive a certain way of doing things,
Yeah.
but if you're guiding them,
Right.
then that leads to self discovery.
Yes.
It leads to a building of self confidence,
Yes.
and then it also, I believe, it opens up a way where the individual will see maybe this is not the avenue I want to go down. I
Right.
want to do something else.
Right. I think that we need leaders. I'm not saying anything to say that we don't need them. We
Hmm.
all need somebody because half the time we can't see what's in us.
Right.
It's hard to. We're so most of us. I'm not going to say everyone, but most of us
Hmm.
speak so negatively of ourselves
Right.
that we can't see the good. Even when we do see the good, we diminish it and act as if it's normal, and it may be normal for us, but for somebody else, it's not.
Mm.
So leaders are important to help us, like you said, self-discovery, to hone in those gifts, especially if you grew up in an atmosphere where the best of you was not highlighted, especially if you grew up in an
Right.
atmosphere that nothing you did was good enough, and then you don't want to now go into a position where you have someone as a leader and they're basically re-abusing you or traumatizing you with the same things.
Mm.
And I think it's important that you said that about a leader guiding, when I said about a leader guiding too,
Hmm.
because a lot of people want you to chase them to guide them.
Mm.
I'm not chasing you.
Right.
I only chase two people, and they 3 years old, and that's just because of their safety.
Right.
Uh, but outside of that, I'm not chasing you. I'm
Right.
here to help you.
Okay.
I'm here to, I can't be, it's like they tell people who are in rehabilitation for
Hmm.
addiction,
Right.
I can't want it more than you want it.
True.
I can't make you show up to the job. I
True.
can't get you the interview, dress you, bring you there, and do all these things. I can support you.
Right.
I can help you where you lack,
Hmm.
but I can't want it more than you want it.
So it's basically saying until you're ready to be guided or to be led, then basically you're just wanting someone to be like a manager.
I don't even,
Because a
managers don't
manager,
even chase you. My
because
manager don't chase me.
because when you think about it, as a manager, you're trying to just make sure that the task is done.
Yeah,
You're not really so much invested into that other person's qualities. You have orders from management, from upper management, that says this task needs to be done, and
well,
so you may try to find them as in to make sure that they're doing their job.
right.
But I feel like as a leader, you're looking for not the job to just to be done, but you're looking for the creativity of that person to come out to shine through, because it's a team effort. I think as a leader, you look at things more on a team level than just say on a task level, if
I
that
mean,
makes
that could
sense.
be true, but it depends on what's going on. I think managers are important because they help the leader to manage those that are under them. I think what people are looking for is a babysitter.
Mm.
And
That's a
I
shit. That's a game changer.
that you looking for somebody, a babysitter chase kids around.
Mm-hmm.
Even I'm a preschool teacher, so I chase kids at my job for safety, again, for safety purposes. Um, but it seems like we're in a time where that's what people want.
Okay.
And that's not what you need, because if I'm treating you as a toddler, when will the adult you show up?
Mm.
If I'm forever
Okay.
pacifying the baby in you,
Right.
the adult will never arrive.
Okay.
So I think that managers help leaders to navigate leading people, because it's hard to lead a group of people alone, because you have so many different personalities.
Exactly.
And so everybody don't need the same thing. You can't
True.
talk to me crazy,
Mm-hmm.
because I might talk crazy back to you.
Right.
So
Right.
you got to know how to handle the people that are under you. So
Okay.
I feel like the leader is the one with the vision, or the one with the insight of where we're going or what needs to be accomplished. The
Okay.
manager is the one, like you said, helping with the task, but they also can notice things,
Okay.
because they may be closer
Mm-hmm.
um, to whoever, to say, this person was really good at this.
Okay.
This person lacked in this area. They need some more training.
Okay.
Um, but I don't think that people are really looking for that. They're looking for, oh, come here, I'm gonna take you and dress you.
Right.
They're not looking for, when I go to apply for a job, nobody gotta wake me up in the morning.
True.
I set my own alarm clock. I'll set
Right.
it 3 and 4 times if I need to wake up,
Right.
because I made a commitment.
Mm.
So I think we sometimes are hard on leaders, but are we people who can be led?
Mm.
Or are we people who just want to be pacified? I'm not going to pacify you, just so you
That is that is
know.
that is interesting. That an interesting take on not only just the leadership role, but the relationship between the leader and the one being led,
Yeah,
and then also understanding every person's role
right.
within the scheme of the situation, or even the project. So let me ask you this then. How important is it for that particular leader, whether they're entrepreneur or they are a leader within the church? How important is it for them not only to have a leader, but to be solid within themselves? And I say solid meaning they have a understanding of who they are, what they desire, and their pros and cons of who they are. Their weaknesses, their strengths.
I think that it's important for a leader to know themselves, because then they can delegate out their weaknesses.
Mm,
Everybody's not good at everything.
right.
I don't care how much you try to be a stickler to make your child a straight A student,
Mm-hmm.
or you try to be a straight A student. There are
Mm-hmm.
some things that just is going to be difficult for you. It's
Okay.
just life. It's just life. Um, so I think that as a leader, it's good to take inventory of yourself, but it's also important to allow the people around you
Wow.
to inventory you, to say, well, you're not doing it, not talking to you in a degrading way, but you shouldn't be talking to them in a degrading way, but
Absolutely.
saying to you, like, this is the area that you're lacking.
Okay.
This is what I see. This
Okay.
is an area. I used to work at a call center, so they would be like, this is your area of opportunity.
Right. Right.
This is something you need to work on.
Okay.
But as a leader, you have to be open to hear that. We often hear leaders who want to rebuke, uh, church dialogue rebuke, or even in
Correct.
business, where they want to out somebody publicly in front of everybody. And it's like, but would you want somebody to do that to you?
Mm,
Or why do you feel like that can't be done to you when you do something wrong?
okay.
So I think it's important for you to be open to criticism
Mm,
as a leader. As far as having someone who is leading you, how can you know what to do
mm-hmm.
if nobody has shown you what to do? Some people learn from the mistakes of others.
Right.
I'm somebody like that,
Okay.
but not everybody is like that.
Right.
So don't just assume that you don't need anybody.
Okay.
So even with me, like saying, how I learn from other people's mistakes, I don't have to make the mistake that you made. I just be like, oh, I got it.
Right.
But I think that you still need a leader when you're a leader, because again, you need somebody who's pushing out the best in you.
Right.
You need somebody who is guiding you, somebody who's checking you, somebody who you're subject to. Everybody got to have somebody. You
Okay.
nobody. I tell him this all the time, and he'll tell you I've said this to him many times because he thinks he's his own counsel. Uh, Nobody can be their own counsel because you're going to think you're right. You're going to make it that in the situation you did the right thing.
Okay.
You're going to make the other person the villain. You're going to make the other person say, be like, well, they did this wrong. You got to have somebody say, no, no, that's not what happened.
Right.
Your tone was wrong. Your body, the way you approached them, the way you came at them, you didn't do this. Because if you're your own counsel, you'll never be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So you need somebody, everybody needs somebody. I don't care who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs somebody to help balance them out
Okay.
because nobody is perfect. Everybody, some people be like, I don't need nobody. Use a lie. And if
Right.
you're a Christian, you a double lie. Because God created us to be together to help each other.
Right.
So if you saying I don't need you, you're contradicting the word of God. And then if you don't need me, then why am I here with you?
Mm.
So I think even in that, like leaders say stuff, and you got to be mindful what you say. Not saying that you're going to get everything perfect. As
Mm-hmm.
parents, we say stuff and we got to take it back. But would be open to apologize. Be
Mm-hmm.
open to say I made a mistake.
Right.
But don't just say things and then think that that makes people want to be around you. Because if you tell me you don't need me, I holler.
So I think that there's a particular mindset behind that in a leader when they feel intimidated,
Yeah.
feel in a way that they are ill prepared themselves, and so they project that on individuals. And they,
So for me, that means that there's trauma that you have
okay,
that you're not dealing with,
okay,
because hurt people, we
right,
all know that.
right,
It's a cliche, but it's the truth.
right,
And so if you're bleeding on people
mm-hmm,
and you know that you're bleeding on people,
mm-hmm,
it's nothing but your pride that won't let you get the help.
okay,
Because why would, for me,
okay,
I only can speak for myself, I never want anybody, and he could tell you, I never want anybody to go through and feel the pain that I felt in my life.
right,
I will do whatever I got to do,
mm-hmm,
that's within my control,
mm-hmm,
so that you don't have to feel what I felt.
right,
I will express myself. I will speak to you in 10 different languages so that you can understand what I'm saying, because I don't want you to be hurt.
right,
Right. But if you have a leader who knows that they're damaged
mm-hmm,
and they are still continuing on in things, I have to question your motive.
okay.
Because are you really wanting to help people or you want to be seen?
Okay, well, let's go down that track for a second, right? So you have people who
Oh
you have
Lord.
leaders who are hurt,
Yes.
but then I feel like sometimes there's an underlining weight or something that they're carrying that they haven't spoken about, because a lot of times they may project their negativity or they may project the toxicity of their life
Yeah.
to certain individuals that's close to them, but then you have those who are not so close that never see that side of them. And so even though they may, they're traumatized and they have trauma in their life,
Uh-huh.
do you think that they're also in some ways protecting others who have gone through it? And so they're trying to search out an answer for their own trauma, they're also trying to help others who may be going through something on a private level and they just haven't shared it.
I think so. If I'm understanding, so you're
Okay.
saying that they don't realize the trauma that they have?
Like you understand the trauma, like you understand, like you've been under poor leadership or you've had leaders who were abusive.
Right.
And as much as you try not to replicate what they've done to you,
Right. You end up doing
you
it.
end up doing it. But you're also trying to lead others that have never really experienced that. and you're trying to correct in them the behavior that you felt.
But the only way you can correct the behavior, because if they see you doing it,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I told you about Micah,
Mm-hmm.
right? If there's something in him that you see that you don't like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a reflection of you, you got to change you.
Right.
So if you're a leader and
Mm-hmm.
there's something going on
Mm-hmm.
and the people are acting like you, but you're trying to correct the behavior, how are you trying to correct their behavior and you ain't worked on yours?
Mm.
So if you know,
Mm-hmm.
because at some point when you're doing self-reflection,
Okay.
right? You realize that you need help.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's going to happen a year after whatever took place. I'm not even going to say it happened 2 years,
Right.
right? I've been through a lot in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to share my life story, but I've been through a lot in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The twins' birth, if you don't know, we have twins. The twins' birth did a lot to me.
Right.
And prior to that, I started noticing things about myself that changed.
Okay.
And I started feeling sad and I started just different things. And I noticed stuff about myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, I need to talk to somebody because something's not right.
Right.
Right. That doesn't mean that I still wasn't helping people. I still wasn't talking to them, but I started to notice a change within myself.
Mm.
Then when I had the twins and I had a panic attack at the dentist, I said, oh, I got to do something.
Right.
Right. So,
It's deeper than just, you know.
right. But what I'm saying is when you get to the point where you acknowledge you need help,
Mm-hmm.
and you start seeing changes in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you say that I need help, now it's up to you to go out and get the help. I can't get the help for you. You
Right.
can tell me you need help, and I will help you the best that I can.
Right.
Right. But a lot of times you need somebody else to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things that and even in that, so if you go to a therapist, that takes time because you have to develop a relationship so that you feel comfortable enough to share whatever it is that you need to share.
Right.
But I think that's why it's important that leaders self-reflect
Mm.
because when you're leading and you're unknowingly, um, when you're presenting things
Mm-hmm.
and then people start to do what you're doing, in essence you're continuing the trauma, you're continuing the poor behavior, you're continuing
Right.
uh the the what I want to say, you're continuing, what is it, keep going.
What continuation? I don't know.
No, I can't think of the word, but you're continuing. It's
What a
like a
cycle?
general cycle. You're continuing the cycle. So,
Okay.
like you said, you're a leader did it to me. I did it to somebody else. They did.
Right.
It's just a
It's perpetual.
continuation of a cycle, right?
Okay.
So somebody, as my
Right.
therapist tell me, she'd be like, "You feel like you're on a hamster wheel?" Absolutely, I feel like I'm
Right.
on a hamster wheel. She's
Right.
like, "Somebody got to stop the hamster wheel."
Right.
So if you start noticing changes about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and we all know when we are doing things, when we are feeling a certain type of way, when we don't want to go out, when we don't want to talk to the people who we normally talk to,
Mm-hmm.
when we're being aggressive in our tones, when we're reacting in a certain kind of way, so we know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the point of, do we want to accept it? I think a
Right.
lot of times, I think a lot of people say, well, oh, I didn't know. It's not that you didn't know, you didn't want your ego to be bruised.
Well, sometimes it takes bravery, not only to say that you need help, but to even really put really thought into saying, like how you did. You like, you had your panic attack, and you say, you know what, I really need to go.
Yeah.
Like before, you knew there was something, but it wasn't until you had a panic attack you like, I know I definitely need to put forth an effort to go and speak to someone.
Right.
And I think a lot of times people lack the courage to do that.
Is it
To
the
really,
courage or is it that you're scared of change?
it could be both.
Because I think some people just don't want to be, like I said, it's hard for me to accept that for people to do that, especially when people do that for years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just my personal opinion. I'm not telling anybody else to take this. But I don't want to damage my kids.
Right. Absolutely.
So there's some things I got to change.
Absolutely.
God has given us a ministry, and I don't want to damage. I don't want a whooping from the Lord.
I don't think anybody wants no problems in their
I don't
life.
know if that's true because I feel like people be doing stuff and be like,
We'll see. Yeah, that's a whole different podcast. But I wanted to bring this out, and it's called the Integrated Psychological Theory of Leadership. It said its purpose that the most effective leaders exert an influence on three levels:
Okay.
public, private, and personal.
Okay.
The most effective leaders are able to affect change on a public level in groups of more than two and three, and on a private level on a one to one interaction, and then on a personal level within themselves. So, as we look at the psychology of a leader and really begin to peel back all that is within them, you really have to ask the question, okay, so not only how effective are you as a leader, whether it's in church or whether even in your business, but then where are those hiccups where you're not?
Right.
So, how would a person who owns a business try to bring, they feel like they understand, okay, now I'm going to therapy, I'm getting help or whatever, but how do I attack that on a public level? I have my employees or whatever, and I'm starting to lose ground. I'm starting to lose that influence.
I
That
think you gotta. I think in business, you gotta. Not it is not just in business, in anything, in church, in your family,
right.
or whatever, any ship you're in, right? There's a culture
Mm,
that you have established. So if you're trying to change the culture, that's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. And by you changing, so we have to allow time for you to change, right? Go through your
mm-hmm.
process, start doing things better, because you're not going to all of a sudden become a great communicator because you went to a therapist for 2 times. You're not going to be this, you're
Right.
not going to do public speaking and
Right.
all that. So I think that you have to give time, and you have to, and if you've shown yourself to be dishonest,
Mm-hmm.
if you've shown yourself to be disloyal, if you've shown yourself to be a tyrant, if you've shown yourself to be controlling, mean, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it takes time for people to know you as something else.
So they need time to recover as well
I
as to
have to,
see
yeah,
a
I have to
difference.
recover from what you've done to me,
Right.
and then now to accept you that you're going to be somebody else, and trust that you're going to keep this route and that you're not going to re-traumatize me.
Right. Revert back to the old
Right.
ways.
So it's a process.
Mm.
That's why I think it's important not to wait.
Mm.
The longer you wait,
Mm-hmm.
the more damage you're doing.
Okay.
The more damage that you do,
Mm-hmm.
the longer it takes to recover.
That's true.
So if you notice something, be honest with yourself. Stop lying to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just be honest and say, I'm trash at this.
Right.
Whatever it is. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what it is, but whatever it is, I'm trash. Okay, what can I, what tools can I set in place to be better? Do
Mm-hmm.
I need to see a therapist? Is there a Christian therapist? Whatever. I think I think people need therapists in general. Not so much people think that they tell you what to do, and they don't necessarily tell you anything to do. They give you tools to help you to navigate your life. That's basically what it is.
Right.
People try to make therapy scary. It's not. It's just
Mm-hmm.
a place, an unbiased person that you can talk to who will help you to navigate how you're feeling, get your thoughts together, and
Right.
things of that nature. Stop being scared of that. Be okay with saying, I think sometimes we get in this thing that we have to be the best at everything, and we're not. And it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to fail. It's okay to get back up. It's okay. You're showing your people that nobody is perfect.
Mm.
I think if sometimes we looked at the people we lead in the way that we look at our children,
Mm-hmm.
we would be better leaders,
Mm.
right? So when you're a leader, there's certain weight that you got to carry,
Mm-hmm.
right? And no matter what that weight is, sometimes you can't let them see how it's affecting you. Just like when you're a parent,
Mm-hmm.
if the water about to be cut off or you whatever, there's some stuff you don't show your children yet.
Mm-hmm.
You don't lash out at them because whatever the case may be. There's a way that you handle it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the same thing with leaders, like we have to be willing to do self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be willing to get the help that
Mm-hmm.
we need from whoever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be willing to accept that we've done damage.
Mm.
We have to be willing to understand that it's going to take time to reconcile these relationships. So many people think because you said I'm sorry that, oh,
Mm-hmm.
and the best example is if you break a glass plate and you say sorry, do the plate go back together?
No.
No. And even if you get glue, right?
Right.
Super glue, glue it back together. The plate is never the same.
No.
So I think we have to sometimes be more humble as leaders and understand that this that has been given to us is a great job,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not light by any means.
Right.
And we're going to mess up,
Mm-hmm.
but know that you can recover as long as you're willing to put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
I think before, nobody is going to be a perfect leader. There was no perfect leader in the Bible outside of Jesus.
Right.
Everybody made a mistake, but it's about how you handle your mistakes, how you handle when you've hurt somebody, when
Mm-hmm.
you've talked to somebody wrong. Just because your perception is that you did the right thing doesn't mean that it's somebody else's.
Right.
Um, so
I think, as we talk about the psychology of a leader, and it's more than just the thought process of the leader itself, but it really sheds light onto the nuances and the direction in which has brought the development of that leader. And I think a lot of times we kind of overlook that. And I kind of looked up some things, and I just wanted to see what you thought about it.
okay.
It says 5 qualities of an effective leader: that they are self aware and
Mm-hmm.
prioritize personal development,
Mm-hmm.
they focus on developing others,
Okay.
they encourage strategic thinking, innovation, and action.
Mm-hmm.
How important, I want to stop right there. How important is that? They encourage strategic thinking, innovation, and action.
I think it's important because our minds often can be everywhere and anywhere at the same time.
Okay.
So if you're encouraging someone to stay on a path, it's going to help them in a thought process to get whatever they're trying to do accomplished.
Right.
So it's going to help them reach the goal that they're trying to obtain.
Okay.
Because when your mind is all over the place, it's hard to complete anything.
Absolutely.
So, also in strategic thinking, it's also, I think, helping you to understand the next steps that you need to take to complete whatever it is you're trying to complete.
Mm.
So, let's just say you want to go to school,
Mm-hmm.
right? All right. So, what are the steps to that?
Right.
What does that look like?
Right.
What help do you need? Whew. What help do you need? What do you need guidance?
Right.
Do you have the money for it? It helps you to, I feel like, plan out better so that you can accomplish your goal.
Or create a map.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the things, one of my mentors, Stephen Kramer, I used to work for a call center as well, and he would tell us all we needed to read an article a day,
Mm.
and he said you needed to read within each quarter. You need to have read a book on that was outside of like call centers, customer service, all of that, but really on a different subject. And he said the reason why he gave us that assignment was he was developing us to be strategic leaders, that when situations would arise, that we had a plethora of
Knowledge.
information and knowledge to pull from, to draw from, to be able to answer or to handle any situation that will come up. And even if
Oh,
we
so you
didn't
love
have
that.
right, and even though we didn't, even if we never, like that particular book, we never saw anything specific to that. It at least gave us the mind to be innovative in our problem solving,
Right.
and it gave us, like you were saying, a roadmap to be successful in whatever path we would take, should we leave that job.
And it helps you to have conversations. So I don't know how many of you know my husband personally, but can talk to anybody about anything, literally anything. And I just be like, where did he get this information from? But he reads and he reads articles and he watches documentaries and he watches all these things. so that he can be a person who can have a conversation pretty much with anybody about anything. If you into coin collecting, he has some information for you. If you own some cows and you're having a hoof problem, he got some information for you.
Listen, I like I like hoof trimming
I
for
didn't
whatever
say you
reason.
did
For
it.
whatever reason, it just
I'm just
called me.
saying, but I'm saying like, so what he told you played into who you are already,
Right.
right? Because you're a person who likes to study, likes to read.
Right.
His favorite channel is National Geographic
No.
and the History Channel. So I'm saying he played into something that you already do.
Right. That's true. The other two are they are ethical and civic
Ethical. Stay right there.
ethical
Ethical.
ethical and civil
Ethical.
minded.
No, just
Civic minded.
you didn't need to go to the next one. Stay right there.
No, that's all in one.
Just stay in ethical. Just stay in ethical.
Okay, so how does especially in the psychological
There's just
in the
it.
personality of a leader.
There's you don't discuss stuff with other people. If I come to you and I tell you my husband is cheating on me,
Right.
it should not be talked about around the water cooler.
Right.
That's
Ethical.
that's unethical.
Ethics.
If I come to you and you're my pastor and I'm telling you something, you should not be preaching about me two
Right.
Sundays from now.
Right.
My subject, my situation should not come up in the message. Everybody should not know you talking about my business. That's unethical.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't degrade me because I might be different than you are.
Mm-hmm.
I should be treated with respect just like everybody else is. I think a lot of leaders, uh, a lot of a lot of people who are leaders lack ethics, lack integrity, lack um what's my C one? I can't think today, y'all. I had surgery Thursday, so my mind is not all the way together. Uh integral. You're supposed to be integral. Character. Y'all don't have no character. You're not integral. You don't have character. How you want to lead somebody?
So to to go along with that to bring even more clarity to it. So
Don't get
you
me
say
on that because
so
I
they
go
don't know
all day.
how a lot of, as a leader you need to learn not only how to handle moments but also how to handle people
And know that if
in
you
their
can't,
moments.
and know if you can't handle them in their moments, know how to direct them to somebody else.
Right.
Because you can't handle everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? I got 4 kids. I'm not, if you don't know me, I am not athletic by any means of the word,
Right.
right? But if my child is athletic, I'm not going to get out there and try to show them something. I don't know how to do that, but I will find somebody to help them. That's what I will do.
Be like, oh, Sean.
Sean, I will call my sister, Jen, I will call anybody but Tiffany and anybody but Alpheus. But we'll find somebody who is athletic to help them. I think you have to be okay as a leader saying, I don't obtain this information.
See, I thought you was gonna say something else.
I don't obtain this skill.
I thought you were gonna say,
What you thought I was gonna say?
as a leader, sometimes you got to be comfortable saying, "I don't know,"
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
because I think a lot of times
We
as
think we're
leaders,
supposed to know it all.
right? Like
You not God.
like you possess all skill. Like you now a Thanos. You have the gauntlet glove. You have all the stones.
Stop it, Doc. No.
It's and that is a perception,
Yes.
whether in church and even in the business world, that people are afraid to say I don't know, and they're too
Or
afraid to ask questions.
or on the other side, they too lazy. Not to say even I don't know. They so willing to throw it to somebody else. They don't even try to do the research themselves.
Right.
So it's like, well, you want to research that for me? No, that's not my job.
If I would have I could have did that before I came to see you.
Exactly. What was the point of me asking you?
Right. So it says, they are ethical and civic minded.
So that civic minded means to me like that they're concerned about the general people. Civic.
So then
Are you concerned about the general what I want to say?
here's what it really is. On as a leader, you have the project,
Mm,
you have the people,
mm-hmm.
you have the plan.
Right.
The project, the people, the plan. In the project, you've estimated what it's going to take, manpower, money, resources, to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
You have the people who have skills to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
You have a plan in which each level of the project has a phase that you're
Mm-hmm.
going to go through. But being civic, now I have to look at the people more than the project or the plan, because they have things that happen in their life.
Right.
But then also I have to know that if this is out of
They can't do it.
their ability.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we could try to put them around individuals, this is out of their skill set.
Right. Have they been equipped with the right tools to do what I'm
Absolutely.
asking them to do?
Absolutely. So the
And
civics of it is
I think when you do that, you do not only do you do them a disservice, but you do yourself a disservice, because now you're getting frustrated, but you knew they couldn't do it. That's like you said with, if you gave Pierce a hammer, Pierce don't know what to do to no hammer. He gonna tear something up.
first of all it's
So,
gonna be too heavy, so he
well, he
gonna
might
drop it.
figure out how to hold it.
And no, but he is too heavy, so he may hurt himself,
He might hurt
and then he
himself.
may later on
He
figure
might
out
hit his brother with it.
how to hold it. But again, being civic minded, I can't just look at it one dimensional.
No,
As a leader, you have to be multifaceted and looking at it from
from
where
more
you
than one
are
dimension.
and where it's going.
Yeah.
The final thing is they practice effective cross cultural communication, and that
Effective.
and
Do y'all know what effective communication is?
why you gotta sit up all of a
I'm
sudden?
just saying, do you know what
you
effective
you just
communication
shifted
is?
all of
Because people swear they be
us.
communicating and they just be talking.
You just shifted like what
Do
you
you
got
even
going.
know what the purpose of communication is? Because it's not talking. That's not the purpose of communication. What's the purpose of communication?
Relaying over information that the other person can understand.
Understanding. That's, you just have to say understanding. That's the key right there. If I don't understand, you're not communicating.
But in
You're
it,
talking.
but in his writing, it said cross cultural. So then we oftentimes assume all black people were raised the same, all white
Yes.
people were raised the same, all Asians or whatever. Everyone who has a certain type of
We fall
disability,
into the stereotype.
right? We fall not only into the stereotype, but then like there are people who are like from the islands. You have the Bahamas, Jamaica. Then you have those who were from like Cuba and other places, and then people try to lump all of them together.
Yeah, because it's a stereotype that
It's a stereotype,
this is how it is in the black house.
right?
This is how it is in the White House.
Everybody did this,
Everybody in the Italian house. This is how it's done. Not realizing that people go through things in life and are influenced by the people in their life. For example, my mother is white. If you don't know, she white. But because there was a woman who took my mother in when my mother was in her 19 or 20, and it was a black woman. My mom know how to cook pig feet. My mom know how to make collard greens. My mom know how to make, whatever. But that's because somebody took her in and taught her how to do those things. So if you were to meet my mother and you just were to assume that she never cooked me collard greens, you would just be wrong, or that she was like, "Oh, you're gonna be in timeout, Tiffany, because you weren't listening." That my mom would knock me out.
mm-hmm.
So I think in being culturally, the thing we learned in one of my counseling classes is that you have to be culturally sensitive, right? But you have to find out what that means
Mm-hmm.
for them,
Mm-hmm.
because how you grew up in the South is different than somebody else grew up in the South. So we have to see what is within the means of you and be able to navigate that,
Right.
because you might be okay with, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
something, and somebody is not okay with it,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to respect that.
Mm-hmm.
See, we get into this thing of, well, this person don't mind. Well, I'm not that person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be sensitive to them and respect their boundaries.
And so when you said all of this, it made me think of, and I'm saying this so we can, be done, but it is really about relationship.
Yeah, you know
When
I'm
you're
big on
trying to
relationship.
be, when you are, it says cross cultural communication.
Hmm.
So then I'm not only considering your culture, but I've also developed a relationship that I know that some words may be a trigger word to you. that may bring you to a place that I may not be able to handle. Like I
Yes.
may know the nice you, but I don't know the you
You
that
don't know the
snap.
ratchet me.
And so you want to make sure that as a leader that you've developed that kind of relationship with them, that you know what their cultural background. Like for me and many others, being bullied because you have both of your parents at home,
Right.
or being growing up in school, I had to pay for lunch, and then I had other kids that didn't. So you have, so when you become an adult and you think that those things don't bother you, or it's, that was just something I went through as a kid, but it shows up in another way in your life, that you may find that the performance of the person will shift and change based upon the actions of the leader. And it's really not so much as what you said, but it was just the cultural difference and the insensitivity that was released and presented to them. So I'm glad that you came on with me, and
Oh, I think the biggest takeaway from this
right,
is that leadership is about relationship,
absolutely.
because you can't lead somebody who doesn't want to be in a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people, I told him this the other day, some people want you to pastor them, but they don't want the connection to you.
Mm-hmm.
So they want you to pastor them, but they don't want the relationship part. And in order for anybody to be an effective leader to you, or for you to be an effective leader to anybody, it starts with a relationship, because you got to build trust. You have to begin to know each other. You have to be able to begin to know how each other communicate, to be able to understand each other. So if you are a leader, or
Mm-hmm.
if you have a leader,
Mm-hmm.
and there are some things that are amiss, you need to go back to the foundation. And the foundation is the relationship.
Right.
What is going on within the relationship? Did we start it off good?
Right.
Do we need to break up that foundation and start over?
Right.
You know? So if you want to be a good leader, you can't just talk to people. I'm gonna do it to church because that's usually what my default is. Because but if you want to be a good leader, I can't just talk to you on Sunday when I see you for 5 minutes. Say, hey, how you doing? I
Skadoosh.
can't be an effective leader if that's the only time that we're talking. I can't help you navigate this thing called life. Not that you should be calling me every day. I'm not saying that.
Because I got stuff to do.
But I'm saying that we should be in communication with one another,
Right.
developing a relationship so that I can help lead you to where God has you to be. Um, and the same thing goes, at your job. Your boss shouldn't only come in there when the stuff hit the fan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need you when I needed you before the stuff hit the fan,
Right. So we could have prevented this.
so we can do preventative measures.
Right.
So relationship is important in every aspect of your life,
Absolutely.
and how you interact within those relationships will be the results that you get.
Mm-hmm.
So if you come to me acting like a toddler, I'm going to treat you like a toddler. And then if somebody else come along and they acting like an adult and they get further along, that's not my fault.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for you to mature.
Right.
I'm waiting for you to show up in the adult version of yourself. I
Absolutely.
will help you, but if I can't make you,
Mm-hmm.
don't think that your leader uh, can make you do anything that you don't want to do. And if we take it to God, God make things uncomfortable, but God don't come here and push you into that interview. People be like, well, God gonna give me a job. What did you put an application in?
Mm.
Somebody randomly just gonna call you. You got to put in some kind of work.
They gonna just show up at the door and not say you need a job.
You needed a job.
Stranger things have happened.
I don't know. People, I feel like people don't want to work. And in life, we have to work at the things that we want. Nothing
Right.
in life is given to us for free. Even if you're in a family that is with wealth, like you got to work to maintain it.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't, then your generation will be the last generation of wealth.
Absolutely.
So,
That's why we don't have the Vanderbilts.
whoever they are, I don't pay attention to these people. I don't got their money, so I stay out of. If we not in the same pocketbook range, I'm not in your business.
study wealthy people, and they tell you that by oftentimes by the second or third generation, the family has lost it if they didn't teach the principles of um, replenishing what they've taken out. You got to put in and you have to work at it and teach the next generation how to create wealth. But that's another time, another subject. But thank you for joining me.
All right, now I need to be paid.
Ooh, Lord. Mm-mm.
Ah!
Alrighty. But I thank you guys so much for joining us. This is Increase, and you guys have an amazing, amazing week.
Bye.